For 2 years, I lived with my college roommate Jason in a small house near our old campus. We weren't super close when we first moved in, just two guys with similar post-college plans, splitting rent and figuring things out. Over the first year though, we got a lot closer. Things went well enough that we renewed our lease for a second year. This happened in June, a couple months into that second lease. One night after work, I got home around 11, talked to Jason for a bit and went to bed. Everything felt normal, but sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up to the sound of creaking floorboards in the hallway. They were slow, deliberate footsteps, heading toward the living room. I rolled over, checked the clock, 3 a.m., and assumed Jason was just up getting water or something. I didn't think much of it, and fell back asleep. The next morning, I was rushing to leave for work when Jason opened his door and asked something that immediately caught me off the guard. "What were you doing walking around the house last night?" I blinked, confused. I told him I wasn't. I said I thought he was. We exchanged puzzled looks, but I had to leave for work, so the conversation ended there. I chalked it up to the house settling, or wind making the walls creak. That night Jason was working late, so I was home alone. Around the same time, close to 3 a.m., I was just falling asleep when I heard the same creaking again. This time, I stayed still and listened. The sounds moved down the hallway toward the living room, then went silent. After about 30 seconds, curiosity got the better of me. I got up and checked the house. Jason wasn't home yet, and the living room was empty. Nothing looked disturbed, but it bothered me. The creaks had clearly moved through the house like footsteps, not random settling. When Jason got home later, I brought it up. Neither of us had a good explanation. The next night I worked late and didn't get home until almost 11 again. As I passed Jason's room, I saw him sitting on his bed in the corner, just out of the corner of my eye. I casually said, "What's up?" as I passed, but he didn't respond. A little weird, but maybe he didn't hear me. After changing, I passed his room again on the way to the kitchen and noticed his light was off now. Still, I could faintly see him in the dark, still sitting in the same spot. I stepped into the doorway. "Hey, you good?" No response. I stood there a few seconds before heading to the kitchen. It creeped me out, but I wasn't going to just barge in on him. After 15 minutes, I walked back to my room. Now his door was shut. About an hour later, I heard creaking again. This time, it was right in the hallway outside my room. I glanced at the bottom of the door, and something moved past it. Rather than get up, I grabbed my phone and texted Jason. "Are you walking around?" He replied with a question mark then. "What do you mean?" "I'm not home right now." My stomach dropped. I jumped up, threw open my door. The hallway was empty, but Jason's door was wide open again. Cautiously, I stepped forward and looked into the room. Standing in the middle of Jason's dark room was a man I'd never seen before. He was tall, with a thick beard, and even in the low light I could tell he didn't look anything like Jason. Just standing there, staring, I ran. I flew out of the house and called the police from across the street. When they arrived, the man was gone. No signs of a break-in, though one window was slightly unlocked. It didn't even look like it had been opened. What really disturbed me was the realization. He had likely been inside the house for days. The creaking sounds, the footsteps. We thought it was the house settling. It wasn't. Worse, he'd been in Jason's room, sitting, waiting. Jason and I tried to make sense of it. That night was the only one in recent days where Jason had gone out, and I'd come home late, meaning the intruder knew the schedule well enough to choose a moment when Jason would be alone. If Jason had come home earlier that night, I try not to think about what might have happened. Whatever his intentions were, I don't want to know, and I never saw him again.